Sometimes people ask me, why did I become a lawyer? When I was 15 years old, I read the book To Kill a Mockingbird, and I fell in love with the character Atticus Finch. And I think I decided then that I wanted to become a lawyer. Law comes through the character of Atticus Finch in that book as a noble profession, as an opportunity to serve the community, as a way to pursue ideals of fairness. The book had enormous appeal to me, and in fact, I go back and reread it every 2 or 3 years. It's my all-time favorite book, and I really go back to that book when I think about why I became a lawyer. When I was in law school, I thought a lot about becoming a law professor as I went through my classes. I've come from a family of educators. My mother was a school teacher. My grandfather was a college professor. My uncle, who I was very close to, was a history professor. So I grew up in a family where education and teaching was really valued. So as I was a law student, I thought a lot, though I loved the law and wanted to be a lawyer, I thought a lot about teaching as well. When I finished law school, though, I was quite anxious to be a lawyer, and I really wanted to be a trial lawyer. I wanted to be in the courtroom. So I went for 6 years. I was a trial lawyer with a law firm in North Carolina. I loved it. I loved the drama of the courtroom. I loved the energy of the courtroom. Still miss it in some ways. But after doing that for 6 or 7 years, I decided that this other goal that I had of being a teacher, of combining both law and education in the form of being a law professor, is something I wanted to pursue. So in 1990, I came here to William & Mary. And for the last 19 years, I've been a law professor pursuing these two loves, my interest in law and my interest in teaching. And this year, I've made a transition into this job as dean of the law school. And I see it as a natural transition of spending 25 years of my life doing as a lawyer first, as a trial lawyer, and then as a teacher and as a scholar. So that was my life for 25 years. Now my job is different as a law dean. It's to help other people do and to fulfill their goals and to pursue their dreams. And so for me, it's a natural transition at this point in my life to go from doing to helping others do. Why does it matter that William & Mary is the oldest law school in the United States? Is that something that we should care about today? I'll tell you why I think it matters. Why it matters is the particular vision that we articulated back in 1779 when we established this law school. The vision of Thomas Jefferson and George Wythe was that lawyers should be trained to a particular role in society, and that is to take leadership, to play significant roles primarily in the political affairs of life at their time period, but I would say more broadly that we're in the business of training lawyers to take leadership in our communities and in our state and in our nation. And they were wildly successful under the teaching of George Wythe. You know, it's interesting to think about George Wythe. He was a law professor here at William & Mary for about 10 years. If you measure the success of a law professor by the accomplishments of the professor's students, which is a pretty good measure, I would say that George Wythe was arguably the most successful law professor in American history. Now, why do I say that? Among his William & Mary students, one President of the United States, James Monroe, 2 justices on the Supreme Court of the United States, including Chief Justice John Marshall, 8 United States senators, 3 governors, many members of Congress, many judges and members of state general assemblies. An extraordinary record for about 10 years of teaching at William & Mary, and that doesn't count Thomas Jefferson, who Wythe taught before he arrived here in his law offices, or Henry Clay, who he taught after he left William & Mary. So what's central for us, I think, in terms of our history is this extraordinary vision about the possibility of the role that lawyers might play in American society.